Stop. Before you spend another quarter, take a closer look, because one ordinary-looking 1965 Washington quarter could be carrying a story that has survived for nearly 60 years. Every single day, millions of quarters pass through American hands. People buy coffee, pay for parking, drop coins into vending machines, and never look at the date. But what if one small decision, one quick glance, could change the way you see pocket change forever? Imagine it's 1965. Inside the United States Mint, powerful presses are striking thousands of brand new Washington quarters every hour. Fresh metal, sharp details, brilliant luster, no scratches, no fingerprints, just a brand new coin beginning its journey. No one inside the mint knows where this quarter will go. No one knows who will hold it first, or who will hold it 60 years later. The coin leaves the mint inside a heavy canvas bag. It travels to a Federal Reserve Bank, then to a local bank within days. It's handed to a grocery store cashier. A customer receives it as change. That customer spends it again and again, year after year. The little quarter keeps moving across cities, across states, across generations. It quietly witnesses everyday American life while asking for nothing in return. Now imagine, nearly 6 decades later, you're cleaning out an old wooden drawer that belonged to your grandfather. Behind a stack of faded photographs, you discover a dusty glass jar filled with coins. You pour them onto the table, pennies, nickels, dimes, then several Washington quarters. Most people would throw them back into the jar, but you don't. One date catches your eye. 1965. You pick it up carefully. Turn it beneath a bright light for the first time. You stop seeing 25 cents. You start seeing history. Where has this coin been? Who carried it? How many memories has it silently witnessed? Those questions are exactly why millions of collectors continue searching through pocket change every single day. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries don't begin inside a museum. They begin with one forgotten quarter, waiting patiently for someone to notice it. Imagine walking into your local bank on an ordinary Friday afternoon. You ask the teller for 2 rolls of quarters. She smiles and slides them across the counter. To everyone else, they're just $50 in change. But to a collector, they're unopened chapters of history. You return home. A bright desk lamp shines over the table. The room is completely quiet. You carefully tear open the first roll. The quarters spill across the wood. One by one. 2004, 1998, 1987, 1976. Nothing unusual. Then, a different date appears. 965. You stop. Not because you expect a miracle, but because you've learned that every old coin deserves a closer look. You pick it up gently by the edges. The light glides across its surface. Washington's portrait still stands proudly. The lettering remains bold. The rim is surprisingly sharp after decades of use. For a moment, you're no longer holding a quarter. You're holding a survivor. Think about everything this coin may have witnessed. It may have been used to buy gasoline during a family road trip. It may have paid for a child's lunch at school. It may have rested in the pocket of someone who is no longer here today. Generation after generation, the coin continued its silent journey. Never speaking, never changing, only collecting tiny marks that tell the story of time itself. That's what makes coin collecting so different from almost every other hobby. You're not simply collecting metal. You're preserving history. Experienced collectors don't rush. They compare one coin with another. They study the surface, the strike, the lettering, the overall eye appeal. Every small detail reveals another piece of the coin's journey. Now imagine placing 3 different 1965 Washington quarters side by side. At first glance, they look identical, but after careful observation, each one begins to tell a different story. One spent decades in heavy circulation. Another remained protected in an old collection. A third still reflects flashes of its original mint luster. 3 coins, 1 year. 3 completely different lives. That's why collectors never stop searching, because the next coin they examine could become the one they'll remember forever. And somewhere, inside another forgotten coin jar, another 1965 Washington quarter is still waiting for someone curious enough to discover its story. Some stories are never written in books. They're carried silently by the coins that pass through our hands every day. Imagine holding that same 1965 Washington quarter once again. Close your hand around it for a moment. Now think about the incredible journey it may have taken. When this quarter was first struck in 1965, it was just another brand new coin, leaving the United States Mint. No one believed that, decades later, someone would still be talking about it. Yet here it is. Still surviving. Still traveling. Still telling its silent story. Picture a small family grocery store many years ago. A customer pays with cash. The cashier drops a shiny 1965 quarter into the register. Later that afternoon, another customer receives the very same coin as change. That simple exchange continues again and again for years. The quarter travels through restaurants, gas stations, movie theaters, shopping malls, and countless American neighborhoods. Every scratch, every tiny mark, every worn detail becomes another page in its history. Now fast forward to today. You're visiting an estate sale. Most visitors are looking for old furniture or antiques. But something catches your attention. A small box labeled, "Old Coins." You open it. Inside are dozens of Washington quarters from different years. Most people glance for only a second. You decide to slow down. Your fingers carefully move through the pile. 1994, 1988, 991, then 1965. You lift it toward the light. Immediately, you notice details that most people would never see. The portrait of George Washington still carries impressive definition. The lettering remains clear. The rim frames the design beautifully. You rotate the coin slowly. Light dances across its surface. Every reflection tells you this coin has lived a remarkable life. Collectors often say, the longer you study coins, the more they begin to tell their own stories. That's exactly what's happening now. You're no longer looking at 25 cents. You're looking at history. Imagine comparing your 1965 quarter with another from the same year. Although they share the same design, they've aged completely differently. One has spent decades in heavy circulation. Another remained protected inside a collection. A third still carries traces of original mint luster. Each one followed its own path. Each one survived in its own way. And that's what makes this hobby so fascinating. Not because every coin is rare, but because no two journeys are ever the same. Some collectors search through hundreds of bankrolls. Others inherit family collections. Some simply check the pocket change they receive every day. They all understand one important lesson. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. And perhaps the next 1965 Washington quarter you find won't just become another coin in your collection. It may become the coin that reminds you that history is often hiding in the most ordinary places. History doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits quietly inside a pocket, a forgotten coin jar, or an old family collection. Imagine it's a rainy Saturday afternoon. You decide to visit a neighborhood flea market. Most people are searching for vintage toys, old books, or antique furniture. But in one corner, you notice a small wooden tray filled with loose coins. A handwritten sign reads, "Old US coins. Pick your favorite." Most shoppers walk right past it. You don't. You kneel down and begin looking through the coins, one by one. 1972, 1983, 1991, 1977, then suddenly. 1965. You carefully lift the quarter. The afternoon sunlight reflects across its surface. Washington's portrait still looks strong. The lettering is clean. The rim remains well defined. For a moment, the busy market disappears. All you can think about is the incredible journey this coin has taken. Who carried it first? Did it travel across the country, inside a truck driver's pocket? Did it sit for years inside a child's piggy bank? Was it forgotten in a drawer before finding its way back into circulation? Those answers may never be known. And that's exactly why coin collecting is so fascinating. Every coin is a mystery. Every mark tells a story. Every year represents another chapter of American history. Experienced collectors understand something many people never realize. The excitement isn't only about searching. It's about learning to notice details that others overlook. The shine of original mint luster, the sharpness of the strike, the beauty of honest circulation, the craftsmanship hidden in an everyday object. Imagine placing your 1965 quarter beside newer quarters. Immediately, you notice the difference, not because it's brighter, not because it's worth a fortune, but because it has character. It has survived nearly 6 decades while quietly passing through countless hands. That journey cannot be replaced. That history cannot be recreated. And that's what makes older coins so meaningful. Now imagine opening one last bankroll before ending your search for the day. The paper tears open, the quarters slide across the table. You check every date, nothing. Then, the very last coin. 65. You smile, not because you found something unbelievable, but because you found another story waiting to be explored. Sometimes the greatest reward isn't finding the rarest coin. It's discovering a new appreciation for history, hiding in everyday life. And perhaps that's the real treasure, because every time you examine another coin, you're preserving a small piece of America's past. Maybe the greatest treasure isn't the coin itself. Maybe it's the story that has survived with it. Take one last look at your 1965 Washington quarter. Hold it beneath the light. Slowly turn it from side to side. The shine may not be as bright as it once was. The edges may show years of honest circulation. Tiny marks cover its surface. But every one of those marks represents another moment in history. Think about everything America has changed since 1965. Generations have grown up. Technology has transformed everyday life. Cities have changed. Roads have expanded. Families have created countless memories. Through all those years, this little quarter quietly continued its journey, from one pocket to another, from one family to the next, without asking for attention, without knowing that one day, someone would stop and wonder where it had been. Imagine placing this coin inside your own collection. Years from now, perhaps your children or your grandchildren will hold the same quarter in their hands. They'll ask, "Where did this come from?" And you'll smile, because you'll remember the day you decided to look a little closer instead of spending it. That's how collections begin. Not with expensive purchases, not with impossible discoveries, but with curiosity. One coin, one question, one unforgettable story. Collectors often say the most memorable coin in their collection isn't always the most valuable. It's the one that sparked their passion. The one that changed the way they looked at history. Maybe, for you, that coin is the 1965 Washington quarter. So before you spend another quarter, Pause for just a few seconds. Read the date. Look at the details. Appreciate the craftsmanship. Because history doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it quietly waits inside your pocket. Thank you for spending these moments with us on Hidden Coin Digest. If you enjoy exploring the hidden stories behind American coins, learning about Washington quarters, and becoming a smarter collector, you're exactly where you belong. Subscribe to Hidden Coin Digest. Turn on the notification bell and join thousands of collectors who love discovering the history hidden in everyday pocket change. Every week, we explore classic US coins, fascinating mint history, collecting tips, and the incredible journeys behind ordinary change. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and leave a comment below. Question of the day: what's the oldest Washington quarter you've ever found? And where did you discover it? Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, keep checking every coin, because the next quarter you receive could become the one that starts your own coin collecting story. We'll see you in the next Hidden Coin Digest video.